and welcome back to the Craftmansion. Hello and welcome back to the Craftmansion. I'm David, and this week's video I'll be making the wands of the 4 Marauders. Marauders. Well, it's James, Sirius, Remus, Peter, Patty group. I'm really excited to make these wands because they have quite unusual style. So for example, Peter's wand has a snake at the end, and well, Sirius' wand has a squarish handle, which is quite uncommon with Harry Potter wands. As with previous ones, I'll be making the main core of the wand from a wooden dowel, but with this wand I think I put a wire core in the middle, and then of course, where there's details, I'll use clay. Now speaking of my other ones, I do have a playlist which is up here of all my Harry Potter props, and as you can see back here I've added some Christmas decorations, there's some tinsel and some lights because it is now Christmas season, which is my favorite. I just bit my lip. Which is my favorite time of the year. In fact, I think I'll go and get a Christmas Santa hat. There, now I look like one of those homeless Santas you see in movies. Now, as I did for my previous ones, I'll be starting out with a printout of the wand. These are some good images, I found them online, and now I can start cutting out the different lengths from the dowels. Some dowels of different thicknesses. There. Whoa! Don't give up on us, baby. I'm gonna give up on you, baby. I used a 9mm thick dowel for James's wand, marked its length and cut it. To get an idea of the varying thickness of the wand, I taped the picture down to the dowel and marked around its edge. This way I got the thickness right from at least one angle. Now that I had a flattened dowel, I marked the edge of the picture again and removed the excess again. This resulted in a square cross-section which then I rounded. I sanded the cuts with my Dremel tool and refined the shape with a sanding block. James's wand has 5 spider webs along its length, which I'll be making using my wood burning kit. On opposing sides of the wand, I marked where each web started and ended using the image as a template. Then, I freehanded the shapes with a marker and engraved them carefully without burning myself. To make the wand a bit shinier, I covered it with Mod Podge. Then I eventually did this for the rest of the wands as well. If you've seen my past videos, I desperately needed a new set of brushes, and I caved in and bought myself a small set. The entire wand has a red, brownish color. The trick is to add some yellow to the mixture as well. I purposefully didn't paint the webs since they should be darker. To make the webs stand out more, I added some water to black paint and removed the excess from the wand once painted. Finally, I dry brushed some dark yellow to highlight the edges of the webs. To make Sirius's wand, I started with a 5mm dowel. I took a different approach with this one and decided to hide it completely in clay, so I had to make it thinner to fit inside the wand. To shape Sirius's wand and the two after it, I'll be using this clay, it's white, air drying from Jovi, and of course the tools to make some details. I rolled the clay out, flattened it, and wrapped it around the dowel. Well, the clay didn't really stick to it, so I had to take it out and redo it. And there's added some water so the clay could stick better. Not perfect, but good enough. Using water, I flattened the clay as much as I could and then let it dry for a bit. Once the wand had hardened slightly, I started adding the details. Every single time I make wands from clay, they shrink and crack. So then I mended this wand with some extra clay and reformed the details. Oh, and also, this is quite new. The clay shrunk and exposed the dowel. After all the clay had hardened, I went over with a sanding block to remove fingerprints and some other imperfections. This wand is a dark shade of brown. Here, I washed over with black paint as well. Next up was Remus's wand, so I used the same technique as before on a 9mm dowel. The handle, however, would end up being made from clay, so I shaved that part down and left a wooden core. I smoothed the exposed part with my Dremel tool and the sanding block. There are 2 rings that separate the handle from the rest, one which I made by cutting directly into the dowel, and the other one would come naturally from the division between the clay and the wood. This time I added water beforehand and wrapped the dowel in clay. The start of the handle is quite rounded, but the rest is, well, smushed. That's the best way I can describe it. I actually read a theory online about this, that Lupin was holding the wand when he turned into a werewolf, and so he kind of deformed it while pressing onto it. This ball at the top is quite rounded, so I did the best I could. To get the original shine the clay had, I used a very fine sandpaper, grit size 800. The handle is dark brown and it's out of focus. The rest is light brown with a hint of yellow, which I brought in through heavily dry brushing yellow onto it. As I mentioned before, to make Peter Pettigrew's wand, I'm going to use a wire core. Yeah. This is the first time I worked with a wire core for a wand, and with hindsight I should have used sturdier wire. I rolled out some clay and decided to push it through one end. I thought it would remain smooth, but I ended up with a wrinkled penis. Some of the cracks on this wand could be fixed with some super glue. Because of the whole wrinkly incident, I removed the excess clay once dry. For the snake's eyes, I used very small beads which I happened to have. Wormtail's wand is entirely black. I took an additional step to make the details clearer by dry brushing with dark yellow. Yes, I basically used it on all of them. Thank you for watching today's tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below with what you think I should do next, whether it be from Harry Potter or any other franchise. These 4 wands really tie in with the next video's theme, because in the next video I'll continue this bullet journal, and January will start with a theme based on the Marauders Marauders map, which is obviously the map created by these 4 wizards while they were in Hogwarts. If you'd like to stay updated with my future videos, you can always subscribe right here. These are some other videos from my channel over here. And until next time, these are the 4 wands of the 4 Marauders. I'm David, and this is the Craft Mansion. You know, it would be really fun to be an animagus, you know, turn into an animal.